Florida courthouse, a sealed envelope arrives. Inside, documents that would soon ignite a firestorm. But the real story isn't what the headlines said. It's what they didn't. Thousands of pages, released after years of legal battles. Heavily redacted. Blacked out names on flight logs. Coded language in emails. The secrets they hide are not what you think. This isn't about one man's crimes. It's about a system that enabled him. The real question isn't how many names we know. It's how many we don't. The Jeffrey Epstein files read like a maze of power and influence. Hedge fund managers, politicians, celebrities, royalty. The networks of elites, all somehow connected to a man now notorious. But the most disturbing part isn't just who was involved, it's how they stayed protected for so long, and the institutions that looked away. As each document is unredacted, a pattern emerges of jurisdictions ignored, charges not pursued, immunity deals cut. Again and again, the system bends away from accountability. When Epstein was first charged in Florida, the case was referred to a state prosecutor, Alexander Acosta, the future United States Secretary of Labor. According to records, a 53-page indictment was prepared, charging Epstein with sex crimes that could have meant life in prison. It was never filed. Instead, a deal was struck. Federal charges were dropped. Epstein pled guilty to lesser state charges. The arrangement was called the deal of a lifetime by attorneys. But the details go further. Epstein was granted work release, allowed to leave jail to go to an office each day. An office that, according to reports, saw a stream of young female visitors. Jail logs of their names have never been released. In another case, Epstein was asked under oath if he had ever socialized with a girl under 18. He invoked the Fifth Amendment. The government prosecutor didn't push further. The thread was dropped. Do you want to know the truth behind the Epstein case? The darkest, most shocking secrets that the powerful don't want you to know? Then you need to follow this channel right now. Click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because what we're about to reveal will shake the very foundations of power. And you can't miss a single detail. Prepare yourself for a journey into the depths of depravity and corruption. And join us in this fight for justice. Subscribe now. But this is where it gets interesting, because the girl in that case, she would later file a lawsuit herself with a powerful new ally. That ally, Alan Dershowitz, Harvard law professor, celebrity attorney, an Epstein friend and house guest. The details only get more disturbing. Flight logs show Dershowitz flew on Epstein's jets, including to his private island. Guest lists put Dershowitz at dinners with Epstein and his associates, but Dershowitz would later help destroy Epstein's enemies in court. And he wasn't the only one to switch sides. According to court records, another key Epstein lawyer also represented his victims, a stunning conflict of interest that the system simply allowed. As each document is revealed, the questions multiply. The connections grow more troubling. Foreign politicians listed in the files, victims claiming they were recorded for blackmail, alleged financial ties to intelligence agencies. But time and again, the full truth stays just out of reach, blocked by legal maneuvers, redactions, and sealed proceedings. At every turn, secrecy and power still seem to shield those involved, and that's the real story, not one man's evil, but the system of influence that enabled it for years across jurisdictions. and at the highest levels of power. The real horrors in these files aren't just the crimes, but the cover-ups, the complicity, the questions of how many more secrets are still buried because Epstein is gone. But the files remain, still not fully unsealed. And until they are, the real reckoning is still waiting. This is just the beginning. Keep watching. But the Epstein files are more than just a dark labyrinth of redactions and legal maneuvering. They also reveal a web of financial power and influence, one that reaches into the highest levels of business and politics. And the deeper you look, the more disturbing it gets. The documents show Epstein wasn't just moving in powerful circles. He was shaping them, making strategic investments, cultivating a network of elites, all while using his wealth to allegedly acquire leverage. According to court filings, Epstein's financial ties extended to prominent executives, hedge fund managers, even royalty. One name stands out: Leslie Wexner, the billionaire behind Victoria's Secret. Epstein was his personal money manager for years, with vast authority over Wexner's finances and assets. But the full extent of their relationship remains cloaked. Wexner claims Epstein misappropriated funds. Epstein's attorneys vehemently deny this. The truth stays buried in complex financial records, redacted bank statements, impenetrable trusts. And this is where the real questions begin, because Epstein's financial dealings were as sophisticated as they were opaque. His fortune, once estimated at over $500 million, was scattered across a Byzantine network, shell companies and tax havens, charities with unclear missions, real estate holdings that spanned the globe. Tracing the money is like chasing a ghost. It slips in and out of shadow accounts, disguised by layers of legal entities, all exploiting the same loopholes and gray areas of international finance. And that's exactly the point, because Epstein wasn't just accumulating wealth. He was mastering the system that hides it. The same secrecy tools used by kleptocrats and organized crime that allow vast sums to flow undetected. And he was using that mastery to allegedly acquire secrets, to amass a hidden stockpile of power and leverage. According to victims' claims, Epstein didn't just abuse the girls he recruited. He collected information on the powerful men around him. Flight logs placed those men on his jets. Security records put them at his homes. But the real question is what happened behind closed doors, and what incriminating evidence Epstein may have gathered. The answers remain locked in still sealed files. Potentially explosive secrets, all secured through legal agreements. Like the immunity deal his co-conspirators received, the full scope of which is still unknown, or the non-prosecution agreement he reached in 2008, one that concealed the extent of his crimes and silenced dozens of victims, are all negotiated through a dream team of high-powered attorneys, including Ken Starr, the special prosecutor who investigated Bill Clinton. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Epstein's power is how unshakable it seemed, even as evidence of his predation mounted, even as the first wave of allegations emerged. His influence machine continued to hum. Epstein kept jetting between mansions, hosting salons with Nobel laureates and celebrities, donating millions to Harvard University, all while accusers came forward with horrific accounts of abuse. And the higher the outcry grew, the harder Epstein's associates seemed to fight. According to court records,
Private investigators were hired to track victims, dig up dirt to discredit them, threaten journalists investigating the story. It was a glimpse into the true nature of Epstein's world, one where connections and wealth could override any moral boundary, where even the most heinous crimes could be buried, if you had the right lawyers, the right friends, the right resources. And that's what makes the Epstein files so unsettling. Not just what they reveal, but what they suggest still hides behind redactions, in bank vaults, and in the corridors of power. Because the real legacy of Jeffrey Epstein isn't just the lives he destroyed, it's the system of secrecy and influence he gained, one that outlives him and implicates us all. The only question now is how deep the rot goes, and who else it will bring down. Keep following this story. There's so much more to uncover. But as disturbing as Epstein's financial secrecy was, there's an even darker thread running through the files. One that winds through the world of geopolitics and intelligence, where the lines blur between money, power, and national security. Epstein's Black Book reads like a who's who of global influence. Saudi royalty, British politicians, American diplomats, billionaires from Russia, Israel, and beyond, all moving in the same rarefied orbit. But it's not just the names that raise alarms, it's what they represent. Because many of Epstein's associates weren't just wealthy, they were connected to the highest levels of government, privy to state secrets, able to move the levers of international policy. And according to court documents, Epstein was deeply enmeshed in that world. Flight records show him traveling to Tel Aviv, Moscow, Riyadh. Alleged ties emerged to arms dealers, mercenary outfits, even figures linked to foreign intelligence services. One name that surfaces is Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi arms dealer who played a central role in the Iran-Contra scandal. Records show Epstein and Khashoggi moving in the same circles, attending the same events, connected through mutual associates. But the exact nature of their relationship remains shrouded, redacted in the released documents, shielded by claims of national security and foreign intelligence matters. And that's where the implications become truly staggering. Because if Epstein was rubbing shoulders with spies and fixers, the question is why? What services was he providing? What information was he privy to? Some answers may lie in his financial dealings. According to the files, Epstein had a murky network of offshore accounts, shell companies in jurisdictions known for money laundering, ties to banks implicated in terrorist financing and sanctions evasion. Are you shocked by what we've uncovered so far? Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come. More powerful names, more sinister schemes, more silence victims. If you want to be on the front lines of this investigation, you need to subscribe to this channel now. Leave your comment below and tell us what you think. Your voice is crucial in this fight. The more we unite, the stronger our call for accountability will be. So subscribe, comment, and share. The truth depends on it. But even more concerning are the hints peppered throughout the documents. Cryptic references to intelligence sources, alleged recordings of powerful figures, all fuel for blackmail, for geopolitical intrigue. In one court filing, an Epstein accuser claims she was forced to have sex with prominent men, including a foreign president and a well-known prime minister. The identities are redacted. The implications are explosive. If true, it would mean Epstein wasn't just enabling abuse. He was potentially compromising world leaders, collecting leverage over those shaping global events, an unelected figure, pulling strings on the darkest stage. Of course, much of this remains in the realm of allegation, dots that can't yet be fully connected, at least not with the still sealed evidence. But the picture that emerges is of a man not just skilled in sexual predation, but in navigating the shadowlands where crime and statecraft converge. A man who could exploit the loopholes of international finance and perhaps the fault lines of international security,
moving billions across borders, conjuring vast wealth through mysterious means, all while collecting the secrets of the powerful, allegedly using his girls as honey traps, an insurance policy cloaked in the size of abused teenagers. And this is where the Epstein story becomes about more than just a monstrous predator. It's about a system that allowed that predator to flourish. The legal labyrinths, the financial subterfuge, the geopolitical gray zones. A system so entangled in webs of power and secrecy, even the most sordid crimes can stay hidden. Where intelligence assets mix with hedge fund cash. Where diplomats and degenerates dance to the same tune. Epstein may be gone, but the networks he moved in remain. The mechanisms he exploited are still in place. From tax havens to plea deals, shell companies to strategic alliances. And as long as those systems endure, more Epsteins will rise, more victims will suffer, and more secrets will stay buried until we demand the truth, the whole truth, no matter how deep it goes. The Epstein files aren't just a glimpse into one man's evil. They're an indictment of the ways our institutions enable that evil, the ways we all stay complicit. And that's why we have to keep digging, keep questioning, until every last redaction is lifted. This story is bigger than Epstein. It's about power, and what power gets away with. Stay with us. The revelations are just beginning. The Epstein files are a labyrinth of horrors. Each dark passage leads to another, more disturbing revelation. And as we comb through the thousands of pages, patterns emerge of power, abuse, and complicity at the highest levels. Here are 50 of the most shocking revelations from the unsealed documents. Epstein's little black book contained contact information for over 1,000 people, including celebrities, politicians, and royalty. Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Lolita Express, was used to transport underage girls to his residences. Epstein's New Mexico ranch had a computer room the staff called the survey room, where Epstein allegedly monitored his guests. Epstein's house manager testified that he found sex toys and costumes in Epstein's massage room. Epstein allegedly ordered books on sadomasochism and sexual slavery. Epstein had a collection of nude photographs of underage girls, which he stored in a safe. Epstein allegedly referred to underage girls as noobles. Epstein's staff were instructed to always have a gun nearby when he was in residence. Epstein's Palm Beach house had a hidden camera and a clock pointed at the massage table. Epstein had a mural of a prison yard in his New York mansion with Epstein in the center. Epstein's publicist bragged that Epstein had never taken a commercial flight ever. Epstein claimed to have co-founded the Clinton Global Initiative. Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, was accused of sexually abusing a minor procured by Epstein. Epstein's plea deal was negotiated by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who later became Secretary of Labor under President Trump. Epstein's plea deal granted immunity to any potential co-conspirators. Epstein was allowed to leave jail for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, on work release during his 13-month sentence. Epstein allegedly ordered multiple underage girls to be sent to his Virgin Islands property to entertain a guest. Epstein wired money from his nonprofit to himself for personal use. Epstein's brother, Mark, testified that Jeffrey Epstein was very sick and had attempted suicide multiple times. Epstein's house manager found a receipt for the purchase of books on sex slavery. Epstein allegedly trafficked girls from South America and Eastern Europe. Epstein's pilot testified that he saw underage girls on Epstein's plane, unaccompanied by parents. Epstein's house manager testified that over 100 massage therapists came to Epstein's home. Epstein paid underage girls to recruit other underage girls, creating a sexual pyramid scheme. Epstein's assistant, Sarah Kellen, allegedly kept a Rolodex of young girls to recruit for Epstein. Epstein's housekeepers were told to wash sex toys and put them away in drawers after his massages. Epstein told one victim his sex drive was a biological necessity and compared it to being addicted to coffee. Epstein claimed to have a bone disorder that required him to receive multiple massages each day. Epstein's butler testified that he was ordered to close his eyes when serving Epstein tea so as not to see the underage girls. Epstein allegedly sexually assaulted victims during job interviews for positions like personal assistant. Epstein's lawyer claimed his sex registration in New York was for a charge equivalent to stealing a bagel. Epstein donated $30 million to Harvard University and had his own office on campus. Epstein's lawyers claimed some of his victims were prostitutes and drug users. Epstein allegedly told one victim, "I will hunt you down if you leave me." Epstein's assistants would allegedly call victims to set up massage appointments. Then Epstein would sexually abuse them. Epstein claimed to be a bounty hunter, recovering lost or stolen money for powerful people. Epstein's massage table had a hole in it, according to police photos. Epstein had a dental chair in his Palm Beach home, where he allegedly assaulted victims. Epstein ordered his housekeepers to keep stacks of cash on hand at all times. Epstein's former house manager tried to sell his black book for over $50,000. Epstein allegedly bragged about his friendship with Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Epstein claimed to have helped devise a special stock trading algorithm for Bear Stearns. Epstein's private island had a mysterious blue-striped temple structure. Epstein's lawyers claimed he was an upstanding member of the community despite his sex offender status. Epstein allegedly promised to boost victims' modeling or acting careers, then coerce them into sex acts. Epstein's pilot was listed under an FAA psychological condition program for serious mental problems. Epstein's lawyers argued his victims were not damaged because they received money from him. Epstein allegedly told a 15-year-old victim to lie about her age and say she was 18. Epstein's lawyer claimed the non-prosecution agreement granted federal immunity to Epstein and his potential co-conspirators. Epstein continued to receive visits from young women while on work release during his jail sentence. These 50 revelations are a mere glimpse into the dark world Epstein created. A world of rape, trafficking, and unimaginable trauma. Enabled by wealth, power, and a system all too willing to look the other way. But, as more details emerge, the true scale of the horror comes into focus. The scale of the failure by law enforcement, by the justice system, by society itself. These files don't just indict Epstein, they indict the power structures that protected him, the moral bankruptcy that allowed him to flourish. And they serve as a clarion call to dig deeper, to demand accountability, to ensure that no amount of money or influence can ever again shield such monstrous crimes. Because the Epstein case isn't over. It's just beginning. The reckoning is still to come for his enablers, his accomplices, his fellow predators in high places. And it's up to all of us to make sure that reckoning arrives. By refusing to let this story fade, by insisting on justice for his victims, by tearing down the systems that create monsters like Epstein. It won't be easy, but it is necessary. As we can see now, in gut-wrenching detail, the cost of silence is too high. The price of complicity is too steep. So let the Epstein files be a beginning, not an end. Let them light a path toward true justice, true accountability for all. Stay with us. The fight has just begun. You've made it this far. You've seen how deep the rabbit hole goes, how vast the webs of complicity are. Now you have a choice. You can turn your back and pretend none of this happened, or you can join us. Subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, leave your comment, and most importantly, share this video. Because the only way to defeat the darkness is to bring it into the light. The more people see, the harder it will be for the predators to hide. Together, we can build an unstoppable movement for justice. But it starts with you, with your voice, your dedication, your click on that subscribe button. Let's make this echo in the halls of power. Let's shake the foundations of the mighty. Let's show the entire world what truth can do. But only if you join us now. Subscribe, act, and let's change history together.